protein. Right, I am going to try and keep this as simple as possible. 0.7 times your body weight in pounds is a great way to get roughly the right amount of protein so that you are not just surviving, but you are actually doing pretty well health-wise. Okay, so most people are getting nowhere near enough protein into their diets on a daily basis. That government guideline of 60-ish grams a day, I've not looked up for a while, but it's somewhere around about that. It's really low, right? And with that low amount of protein in a day, like, yes, it'll basically support you and keep you alive. If you're doing any strength training at all, or you want to maintain your muscle mass, that's a good thing. Then you're probably going to need a little bit more than that. I put in that probably because very small people, like, not everybody is, like, not every woman's 5'7", right? So if you're particularly small, like 5 foot, below 5 foot, then your protein requirements are going to be less. Now, we can look at height in terms of your protein requirements, but of course you might be very small but be carrying an awful lot of body weight, or you might be very small and carrying very little body weight, so you might only be like 50 kilos or 48 kilos or something. So it's not enough to just go like, so let's take that 48 kilo person and multiply 0.7 times their body weight in kilos. That is going to come out, actually, can't do that maths, but that's going to come out as like a really small amount of protein, actually below the government guidelines, right? So government guidelines might not be just enough to go by. Okay, it's not going to work for everybody equally. If you're a 6'2" woman, okay, right, okay, Anne, I see where you're going. Say you're a 6'4" guy and you have loads of muscle on your body, fairly lean, loads of muscle. Do you think 60 grams of protein per day is going to be ideal for that man and that 48 kilo woman? It doesn't make sense, does it? So we cannot have an amount that's one size fits all. We have to have a different metric in order to work out what somebody requires per day. And this is where numbers such as 0.7 times your body weight in pounds comes in. Now, you could do something like, I'm not sure what the equivalent in kilos would be, but like 1.5 times your body weight in kilos or something. Like, you could do that. Just pick one, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? You've got to have a way of using your body weight multiplied by a number to get roughly a decent amount of protein for you as an individual. We love things to be exact, don't we? It just doesn't work like that. It can't work like that. I think you're starting to see what I'm saying. It cannot work like that. Everything is just a best guess. Even the amount of calories that we require per day is just a best guess, because in a day we might sleep more, or we might move around more, or we might have a more stressful day, or we might have eaten like weirdly that day, like differently from what we normally do, or we might have been raising our heart rates more, or we might have been much more sedentary, or so the variables within a day make it kind of impossible to know exactly how many calories we require per day. Everything is just in the region of best guess. This is kind of sensible, right? Let's focus on that. Kind of sensible. So kind of sensible would be something like 0.7 times your body weight in pounds for protein per day. That's going to give somebody like me about 140 to 150 grams of protein per day. I train, do a lot of lifting of weights. Sometimes I go a bit higher with my protein, and I will tell you right now, I always feel a little bit better for it. But I will also tell you, hitting over 150 grams of protein per day is hard work. Okay, you've got to be very conscious of it. You've got to go get to know your protein intake really well, and it's not easy. So I understand that people get angsty about the amount of protein per day, and they get angsty because it's quite hard to do. And they hope it's lower because that's easier to do. Yeah, I get that. I'm sorry that it's not a better answer. that makes it easier for you. Like, I genuinely am. I wish it was a little bit easier. If our protein needs were much, much lower, like, we wouldn't be having this conversation in the first place. You would just be doing fine. Sorry. So my best advice is try and get close to that number. If you're even doing better than you were before, then you're doing better than you were before, and that's great. Even if you're not getting to that optimal amount of protein per day, you're doing better than you were before. That is so, so, so important to recognize. The closer you get to that number, the better you'll be doing. Remember that protein also helps you feel fuller for longer, so you're less likely to smash out like processed, high calorie foods. So you're more likely to eat well throughout the day if you're just hitting that slightly higher protein amount. So I am not certain that has clarified things for you, but the more you hear me talking about this, and please keep asking the questions, because the more you hear me talking about this, the more it will clarify for you. It just takes a bit of time for you to take all the opposing information that you've heard throughout your life to put it all together. Don't Google it, guys, because all you'll get is some trashy information from some old government guidelines that somebody's just quickly Googled and gone, how much protein do I need in a day? And it'll come up like with really standard numbers. You've got to dig a little bit deeper than that to get sensible information. Guess what I've done over the last 20 years? I have dug deeper. Any questions? Ask away.